Jordan was the world's child prodigy, but in 2026, she's finally breaking her silence on the industry that tried to own her. Imagine standing in a high-rise office in Los Angeles at a contract that guarantees you more money than most people see in 10 lifetimes, only to realize that the price of that paper is your own soul. We begin tonight with a story of a young woman who did what most aspiring artists would consider professional suicide. In early 2026, sources within the inner circles of the music industry confirmed that Jordan had officially severed all ties with the major label machines that have governed her career since she was 7 years old. For a child who grew up in the blinding spotlight of international talent competitions, the path was supposed to be set in stone. Follow the formula, collaborate with the ghostwriters of the month, and churn out 3-minute pop tracks designed for viral algorithms. But behind the closed doors of those glass offices, a conflict was brewing that the public never saw. Insiders suggest the label wanted a rebrand, a more polished and digitally corrected version of the girl we knew. They wanted a product they could control, package, and sell to the masses. However, wanted a legacy. By walking away from a multi-million-dollar machinery, she didn't just quit a label, she declared war on the modern music industry. This wasn't a sudden tantrum. It was a calculated move into total sovereignty. In 2026, we are finally seeing the fallout of that massive decision. She has effectively removed the middleman, taking her massive global with her and proving a dangerous truth that has the suits in London and New York sweating. Talent doesn't need a label if the connection with the audience is real. While the industry predicted she would fade into obscurity without their marketing budget, her independent numbers have done the exact opposite. They've skyrocketed, creating a terrifying precedent for the big labels who are watching their grip on the world's best talent slowly slip away. Behind the beautiful melodies and the international accolades lay a wall of silence so thick that even her most devoted fans began to fear she had vanished forever. For nearly 18 months, the girl who once filled our feeds with soulful covers became a digital ghost. Between late 2024 and much of 2025, Jordan effectively disappeared from the public eye, fueling a firestorm of speculation that bordered on the conspiratorial. Was it a health crisis? A total breakdown, or something much darker? The truth, as we've uncovered through our investigation, is far more complex than the headlines suggested. While the world watched her old videos on a loop, was entangled in a grueling legal dispute back in her home country of Norway. Reports surfaced regarding a $13,000 conflict with the national broadcaster NRK, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. Whispers of security threats began to circulate, with some sources claiming that her rapid rise to fame had attracted a level of unwanted and dangerous attention that forced her family to tighten her inner circle to an extreme degree. This wasn't just a vacation, it was a protective shell. During this period, accusations surfaced, not against her, but from her camp toward the vultures of the industry who had allegedly tried to exploit her youth for their own gain. She was reportedly feeling DWN in the dumps, grappling with the weight of a career that had started before she even hit double digits. This silent exile served a dual purpose. It protected her safety and allowed her to shed the child star skin that had become a burden. But as the silence grew louder, the mystery only deepened, leading many to believe she had walked away from music forever. Little did we know, she was in the shadows, rebuilding her voice for a transformation that would change everything. Most artists struggle to find a single song that defines them, but Jordan has just dropped an entire trilogy that feels like it was written in the stars and finished in the soul. As the 2026 announcement broke, the centerpiece was revealed to be an ambitious, 3-part album cycle: Secret of the Soul, Secret of the Star, and Secret of Love. This wasn't just a collection of songs, it was an intimate look into a world she had kept hidden for over a decade. The lyrics were heavily influenced by the private poetry of her grandmother, adding a layer of ancestral weight to the music that modern pop simply cannot replicate. In an era where music is often written by committees of 10 or more people, this trilogy was a family affair, raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. But with this release came new controversies that have the internet buzzing. Speculation began to grow that the lyrics were exposed secrets about her time spent in the Hollywood machine, coded messages about the people who tried to control her every move. Critics have dissected every line, looking for clues about her lost years and the reasons for her sudden departure from the mainstream path. The Secret trilogy has become a cultural phenomenon, not just for its vocal prowess, but for its defiance. She refused to use the trendy mumble style or heavy synth-pop beats that dominate the charts today. Instead, she leaned into jazz fusion and heavy orchestral arrangements. This artistic SHT was too much for some mainstream critics, who labeled it unmarketable and self-indulgent, but for the millions who bought the albums, it was a breath of fresh air. It was a clear signal. The girl who sang Gloomy Sunday had grown up, and she had a lot of things she needed to get off her chest, whether the industry was ready for it or not. Imagine paying $500 for a ticket, only to be told you have to lock your phone in a bag before you can even see the stage. This is the new reality of the Jordan experience. This is the reality of the 2026 Residency in Las Vegas. When the announcement dropped that would be taking over the stage once graced by legends, the city buzzed with excitement. But that excitement quickly turned to confusion when the revelations about the show's rules surfaced. Instituted a strict no digital policy, no phones, no recording, and absolutely no social media posting during the set. Why would a 20-year-old artist want to limit her social media reach in a world that lives on likes? The answer lies in her quest for total authenticity. She wanted the audience to hear the vibrations of her voice without the distortion of a digital lens. However, whispers have persisted that there's another reason for the secrecy. Some attendees have whispered about dramatic stage presence, so intense it feels almost, and a vocal range that defies modern explanation. These shows aren't just concerts, they're atmospheric experiences, often performed in near-total darkness with only a single spotlight on her. This mystery has driven ticket prices to astronomical levels on the secondary market, creating an aura of exclusivity that the music industry hasn't seen in decades. She's turned a live performance into a sacred event, but this has also led to accusations of being out of touch with her younger fans who can't afford the trip to Nevada. Is she protecting her art, or is she building a wall between herself and the people who made her famous? The debate is raging, but the seats remain full. In a world of high-fashion brands and six-figure sneakers, her most powerful statement is the one she makes with her bare feet. To the casual observer, performing without shoes is just a quirky gimmick, but in 2026, the barefoot philosophy has become the cornerstone of her identity. It traces back to a promise she made as a young child to a girl she met who had no shoes of her own. In her 20s, this hasn't changed, but the context has. As she navigates the high-glamour world of international stardom, her refusal to wear shoes has become a silent protest against the vanity of the industry. It's a groundedness that seems to protect her from the ODD fates and accidental tragedies of fame that have claimed so many other young talents who grew up too fast. However, this hasn't been without its challenges. There have been reports of venue SHT where management tried to force her to wear footwear for safety and liability reasons, nearly leading to show cancellations. She hasn't budged. This commitment to a childhood promise in the face of adult pressure has made her a symbol of integrity. But critics wonder, is this a genuine connection to her roots, or has it become a brand that she's now trapped in? There's a mysterious element to how she maintains this image while being one of the wealthiest young women in Europe. It creates a fascinating contrast, a woman who could afford any designer brand on the planet, choosing to walk the earth as simply as possible. It's this integrity that keeps her fans fiercely loyal, even as her life becomes increasingly inaccessible to the average person. The top executives in London and New York are at their charts, and they're starting to realize their math doesn't work anymore. The final chapter of the 2026 transformation isn't about herself, but about the revealed weakness of the music industry. For decades, the path to success was by radio play and label-funded tour. Jordan has bypassed all of it. Her success is organic, driven by a direct-to-consumer model that has left the majors scrambling to catch up. There are accusations surfacing that several major labels have tried to blackball her from certain award shows because she refuses to sign a distribution deal that would give them a cut of her hard-earned profits. The tension is palpable. She has become the exposed truth of the industry. Talent doesn't need a middleman if the connection with the audience is real. As we look at her career in 2026, We see a woman who has navigated the DMN difficult transition from child prodigy to adult icon without losing her mind or her voice. She's faced legal battles, security scares, and industry betrayal, yet she remains standing. The question for the future is no longer if she will stay relevant, but how many other artists will follow her lead and break their own chains. Jordan didn't just transform her look or her sound, she transformed the rules of the game. And as the curtains close on her latest show, the world is left wondering, was this the peak, or is she just getting started? One thing is for certain, the barefoot girl from Oslo is gone, and in her place is a queen who doesn't need a crown to prove she's royalty.